Part 40. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 392. After discussing with Huangfu Pajun, Wu Yu entered the vast sea with one of his clones. In fact, as far as Wu Yu's clone is concerned, even the strongest Huangfu Pajun here can't tell the difference between it and the original body. A group of Wu Ye stood together, and the soldiers of Kishan camp were very depressed. They didn't know which one was the real Wu Yu. Therefore, when one of them leaves here and enters the vast sea, they don't know whether it is the original body or a clone. When this clone leaves the side of Wu Yu's body, it is actually equivalent to Wu Yu's eyes. Wu Yu can see the position of the clone through the eyes of this clone. He only needs to separate part of his spirit. It does not affect the actions of its main body and other clones. In the rolling sea, Wu Yu moved forward quietly, making very little movement. Going further west was the land of Shenzhou. He took a detour and turned around to go east. No wonder it's been so quiet recently. It turns out there are indeed fewer ghost cultivators nearby. Not many ghost cultivators. Even if there were, they were just weak ghost cultivators with evil intentions but no courage. When Wu Yu caught them and questioned them severely, they couldn't say anything. Although there was no gain, Wu Yu did not give up. He thought that if there was something going on, maybe if he asked too many questions, he would actually meet someone who knew. There must be a problem if ghost cultivators suddenly decrease. No matter what they say, they all know that in 2 months, Canghai Daozong will be able to dig out the Lanling gold mine. The reason why Canghai Daozong took out another fifth of the Lanling gold mine was because they expected that the further back they went, the greater the threat posed by the crazy attacks from ghost cultivators. Along the way, he wandered around the vast sea and saw all kinds of marine life. Of course, he also met dozens of ghost cultivators. They were also at a loss about the current situation. After all, more than 10 days ago, they also said that nearby but there are many ghost cultivators. Wu Yu felt more and more something was wrong. His body is here at Lanling gold mine, and now he and Huangfu Pajun are near the warship. You have come so far to see so many ghost cultivators. There must be something wrong, Huangfu Pajun thought deeply. What should I do? Quickly, find a ghost cultivator who knows the situation, and then go further. Wu Yu didn't hesitate much and let the clone go further east. He even went directly to the sea. The view on the sea was vast. Wu Yu was running on the sea. The sea and sky were the same color in his field of vision. It was quite magnificent. Such a majestic East China Sea, but there is a host of parasites hiding there. There is an island. After discovering something, Wu Yu went forward without saying anything. It was a deserted island with a small area. Remember the creatures and ghost cultivators in the East China Sea. In fact, the bases are basically on islands, and the bottom of the sea is not suitable for long-term survival. Unexpectedly, there were several ghost cultivators on the island, one male and one female. Wu Yu quickly appeared in front of the two of them, and unexpectedly the two of them were double cultivating. As soon as Wu Yu appeared, the woman naturally screamed in fright. The two of them jumped up, put on their clothes and rushed towards Wu Yu without saying a word. Although it disturbed their good deeds, Wu Yu had more important things after all. The two people were probably at the 6th level of the Golden Core realm. Wu Yu punched the woman and then grabbed the man's neck. With a little force, the man almost died. Wu Yu picked up the man, took out a sword, put it against the woman's throat, and said, "I'm going to ask you for an answer. I'll ask her for your answer later. If there's a difference between your two answers, then don't do it. It's my fault for being so cruel." You say, it seemed that although this was a ghost cultivator, he still seemed to value love and justice. Wu Yu unintentionally hit his weak spot. "The real purpose of you two coming here?" Wu Yu asked. The man's face turned pale and he said, "I heard that a sect of cultivators from Shenzhou found a blue spirit gold mine at the bottom of our East China Sea. All the nearby ghost cultivators are trying to get their hands on it. Let's come over and see if we can get a share of the pie. Wu Yu asked again. Last time, the 8,000 ghost cultivators suffered a disastrous defeat, do you know that? The man was even more frightened and said, I was there, I saw you. Since this is easier to handle, when he saw himself, he knew better that Wu Yu was sweeping thousands of troops at that time, and he probably dared not lie even more. Wu Yu then asked him again, what next? I was scared and felt that there was little chance of winning, so I decided to leave. Wu Yu stared at him and put some pressure on him. I am indeed scared. After all, your Yanhuang immortal army is too powerful. Then why don't you leave cleanly and stay here? Where are the other ghost cultivators? Wu Yu asked the key point. Wu Yu exerted a little force, and the other party suddenly cried and said loudly, that time, you killed 2 ghost cultivators at the 3rd level of the Kanghai realm of Zifu. They were people from the soul-devouring demon sect, and the 2 sect leaders of the soul-devouring demon sect. I wasn't very interested in your Lanling gold mine, but now that they have died, I heard that these 2 sect masters have come here. It is said that the 2 of them can completely defeat Yu Yanhuang immortal army. I stay here just because I want to. Upon hearing this, Wu Yu knew that this was not made up. It turned out that he had killed people from the large ghost cultivator sect. No wonder those 2 were much stronger than the others. This can explain why it has been so quiet recently. Everyone is staying away, not daring to get too close, waiting for the arrival of the 2 sect masters, waiting for the arrival of the soul-eating demon section. They are naturally afraid of these 2 sect masters, otherwise he wouldn't hide so far away. Wu Yu knocked him out and asked another woman, with the same result. He asked more carefully, but the 2 people still didn't know the realm of the 2 sect leaders, but they knew that they were respected as the Black and White Zhuangxia. In the East China Sea, the Black and White evil spirits are the most famous existences. Although the soul-devouring demon sect is a little far away from the sea here, and it takes a while to get here, it is far less close than the Kanghai Dao sect, but as long as they decide to come, they will probably be there by now. The 2 talked about many deeds of the Black and White Zhuangxia. It was rumored that they practiced by devouring the souls of mortals. They killed hundreds of thousands of mortals, put them into cauldrons and burned them alive to death, and then produced wronged souls, and then they made elixirs through secret methods, integrated the wronged souls into the elixir, and finally took it and practiced it, which made them make such great progress. The name soul-eating demon sect was obtained from this secret technique. This kind of behavior simply exceeded Wu Yu's imagination and was outrageous. Wu Yu's scalp went numb after hearing this. He used mortals to make elixirs. If you think about it carefully, if you are a mortal and are thrown into such a cauldron, although your body will die, your soul will still be burned. It is so cruel to be so cruel, it is simply terrifying. Wu Yu's true form quickly informed Huangfu Pajun of the news. Soul-devouring demon sect? Black and white demons, Huangfu Pajun frowned deeply. In fact, he didn't know these 2 people. After all, this is an offshore place. The ghost cultivation sects that usually fight against the Kanghai demon sect don't have these 2. The individual is probably from a location relatively far away from the East China Sea. He summoned Li Gongshiming. After Gongshiming heard this, he was shocked and said, the Black and White Zhuangxia of the soul-devouring demon sect are here? Their sect is not in the nearby sea area. It is considered to be close to the 4 Dongyang Islands. Why are these 2 people here? It is said that the 2 people I killed last time were from the soul-eating demon sect, so I alarmed these 2 people, Wu Yu said. I see, then we really don't have to go far. Our Kanghai Dao sect's expected opponents do not have such black and white evil spirits. Maybe, it will be very difficult next time, and we may have to give up. Unless the sect master is willing to give it a try and come here first to fight these 2 to the death. Gong Shuming sighed. Are these 2 people at a very high level? Wu Yu asked. I don't know. It must be at the 4th level of the Zi Mansion Kanghai realm or above. I will quickly inform our sect leader of this matter. If he comes to support, it may be too late. I am afraid that some ghost cultivators will take the opportunity to sneak attack on our Kanghai Dao sect. Gong Shuming is also nervous. On that island, Wu Yu's clone was preparing to leave after completing the interrogation. These two ghost cultivators were okay and had a little kindness. Wu Yu didn't embarrass them and was about to let them go. Suddenly, someone behind him said, "Why do you want to know about us, little guy?" Wu Yu was shocked. He never expected that the person he was asking about would be right behind him. He turned back suddenly, but at the moment he turned back, a destructive force penetrated his body and instantly broke through Wu Yu's clone's defense. As a result, Wu Yu's body exploded into mist, it became a golden monkey hair, invisible and intangible, and fell into the sea water. The clone was killed. Of course it doesn't matter, that monkey hair is floating back, and it can still be used after a while of rest. But he still looked ugly. My clone was killed. The black and white demons were just behind me. At their speed, it won't take more than 60 breaths to get here. Wu Yu said quickly. What? Huangfu Pajun was also frightened. Wu Yu's mind was still clear, and he quickly said, "Get ready to fight. There are only 2 people coming, and there are not many ghost cultivators around. In order to avoid unnecessary casualties, I suggest that all the Yanhuang Immortal army except the Centurion enter the Yanhuang battlefield, and then I will wait for more than 10 people to fight against the black and white evil spirits." Huangfu Pajun believed in Wu Yu. He nodded, without saying much, and directly issued the order. At this time, the Yanhuang battlefield opened. The Yanhuang Immortal army was also stunned, but they quickly entered. At this time, Kanghai Dao sect also stopped mining, and all personnel quickly entered the Yanhuang battlefield. Gong Shuming, if this opponent is far superior to us, then we can only cancel this mission. After all, the benefits you gave Yanhuang Emperor City will be worth 150,000 merits in our hands, and these 2 opponents are likely to. It can't be done with 150,000 yuan, Huangfu Pajun had to remind. Of course Gong Shuming also knew. He said, in this case, if we really can't withstand it, our Kanghai Dao sect will have to give up. But don't worry, at least half of it has been mined, and the compensation we should give you will not be less. He added, everyone is just here to do the task and earn merit. We, the Kanghai Dao sect, don't want to see too many Yanhuang Immortal army pay their lives for this, then it's not worth it. Even though they say this, the Yanhuang Immortal army is still very responsible, and they will still fight fiercely against the black and white demons. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 393. In this way, it was quite late for Wu Yu to go out. But in fact, existences of the level of the black and white Zhuangsha have exceeded the limit of the Yanhuang Immortal army's guarding mission. That's why Huangfu Pajun was so quick to withdraw the Yanhuang Immortal army's Yanhuang warships and protect the Kanghai Dao sect. After it was settled, Huangfu Pajun asked several centurions at the 2nd level of the Kanghai realm of Zifu to return to the Yanhuang warship to appease everyone. All the people above the 3rd level of the Kanghai realm of Zifu, including Wu Yu, and Gong Shuming of the Kanghai Dao sect, stayed outside, preparing to face the black and white evil spirits. 10 people in total. Huangfu Pajun quickly made arrangements and said, no matter what, unless you are crushed by the opponent, you still have to hold on. In the next battle, I will deal with one of the black and white evil spirits. The 9 of you will join forces to block the other one. Remember, we must help each other and never fight alone. Yes. Those who came were top cultivators, so the scene was very serious now. The Yanhuang Immortal army, including Kishan Camp, all hid in the cabin of the Yanhuang warship at this time. Huangfu Pajun controlled the Yanhuang warship to press it down, guarding the Lanling gold mine, blocking the way. Part of the mine. Inside the cabin, many magic arrays glowed with golden light. There was a spirit-gathering array under everyone's feet. The Yanhuang immortal army stood skillfully in this spirit-gathering array. They could use the Danyuan and Zifuyuan Li is instilled into this spirit-gathering array, and then supports the operation of the entire Yanhuang warship array. Layers of light masks appeared on the surface of the Yanhuang warship, and all the hatches were directly closed, instantly like a solid bunker. But even so, the Yanhuang immortal army still looked at each other, slightly nervous. You think, can Centurion and the others be able to stop the black and white demons? If Commander Huangfu dies in battle, the Yanhuang warship will immediately lose half of its defense, and we may be in danger by then. There are also many people here in Kishan camp who look gloomy and a little worried. Zhen Yu said calmly, "Don't worry, everyone. The Centurions know it well. If they find that they are not the enemy's opponent, they will naturally withdraw immediately and retreat together. Commander Huangfu will be fine." Wu Tianyu said dejectedly, "I'm worried about Commander Wu. After all, with his temper, he will definitely be at the forefront of the battle. If the black and white evil spirits are targeted, it will be troublesome. It's a pity that we can't help." Fang Kaokan said, "You don't have to worry anymore. Commander Wu is the person least likely to die in battle. He is so lucky that it is impossible to die so easily. He has experienced similar hardships so many times since he has been practicing." You have a point. Kishan camp is finally a little enthusiastic. At least there are more than 1,000 people here, and they are the calmest ones. Outside the Yanhuang warship, Wu Yu and others stood on top of the Yanhuang warship. Everyone had already sacrificed their magic weapons, with stern expressions on their faces. But even the Centurion was relatively solemn, and everyone stared at the surroundings. Next to Wu Yu were Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu. Their faces were slightly pale, and they whispered, "The mission we took on, and the presence of masters of this level, has exceeded our limit. In fact, at this time, we should go." Chen Kangsong suggested, "Then I will initiate a vote and see how many people support us." They did not hide it, so everyone heard it. Huangfu Pajun had a bad temper and said, "My opinion is, try fighting first, and then retreat if it doesn't work. What do you think?" Chen Kansong and Fan Qingliu had this opportunity, so of course they chose to oppose it. Among them, Chen Kansong said bravely, "It's just a mission, I don't want to die here." The others were silent for the time being. It's not that Wu Yu loves to go against them, at least the Kanghai Dao sect has also paid a lot. It would be too cowardly to retreat without fighting now. He said, "There is no life and death sacrifice on the road to cultivation. If Commander Chen is afraid, he can hide. Go to the Yanhuang warship." He really looked down on him. As a Taoist, he didn't even have any courage. He was afraid that no matter how talented he was, he would only stop here in his life. Those who dared to come here, especially those who had come here in the past 3 months, did not want to give up midway, so in the end only the two of them were afraid. In this case, his proposal was obviously untenable. Chen Kangsong and Chen Kangsong were particularly embarrassed and angry, especially Wu Yu, who was the first to stand up and refute them. "You are still voting on whether to flee. It seems that there are only 2 smart people." At this time, there was a thick smoke coming from the distant sea. The thick smoke was divided into 2 parts, one black and one white, which melted into the sea water, and even the sea water turned into black and white. In the black and white sea water, there was 1 person each. When they arrived, the entire sea area was dead silent, without any effect. Wherever they went, pieces of sea fish were killed directly, and suddenly lost their lives. Wu Yu became alert. His eyes penetrated the color of the sea water and saw 2 tall and thin beings inside. Both were wearing robes and tall hats, dressed in the legendary black and white impermanence style. Among them, Bai Sha's skin is pale, even his lips and eyes are white, not to mention his pale hair. Those eyes were empty and lifeless, cold as ghosts. He Sha is completely black, with not a single white spot on his body. He is as black as ink. Although the two of them had handsome faces, their attire was really scary, and they were really fast. In the blink of an eye, they were in front of Wu Yu and others. 10 people and 2 people looked at each other. Sure enough, just the two of them could compete with Wu Yu and others with their overwhelming evil power. There is even overwhelming momentum. Bai Sha smiled faintly and said, I didn't want to come here to cause any conflict with Yanhuang Emperor City, but you and others were ruthless in their actions. My 2 elders came over to take a look and were directly killed. I waited for the 2 of them. You have to come here and seek some justice for them. Huangfu Pajun said, we, Yanhuang Emperor City, are stationed here, and you and other unknown people dare to come to provoke you. Naturally, you deserve to die. Not only them, but you too will not be able to save your lives if you don't leave. Haisha said coldly, it seems there is no room for negotiation. We thought you would be willing to let you go with some conditions. Fan Qingliu said quickly, what conditions do you two have? The black and white evil spirits looked at each other and smiled, and the white evil spirit said, it's very simple. You quit and leave the Kanghai Dao sect people and the Lanling gold mine. In addition, I think this Yanhuang warship is good, so I will leave it to us. In addition, whoever killed the elder of my soul-eating demon sect that day must also stay. There are several conditions. It's him, Fan Qingliu pointed at Wu Yu. Facing this black and white evil, she must have been scared, so she didn't have the confidence to fight. Shut up, Huangfu Pajun simply couldn't tolerate her. He immediately stood up and said in a deep voice, I, Yanhuang Emperor City, are stationed here. Even if your Yanhuang Palace comes, you have to get back, you too. Don't talk nonsense, if you don't leave, we won't be polite. As soon as these words came out, the situation was immediately tense. Humph, the black and white demons naturally had murderous intentions, but before they took action, Huangfu Pajun knew that there was no possibility of taking a step back, and even took action first. Holding a battle halberd, he instantly appeared in front of the black and white evil spirits. He slashed down like a tear, and a violent golden light suddenly burst out, whizzing away, splitting the vast sea water in half, and directly splitting the black and white evil spirits. Separate. Stop leaving. After separating the 2 people, he rushed towards Haisha with the halberd, and used a series of violent fights and many mysterious arts of heaven and earth to push Haisha to other places. At this time, Bai Sha sneered and was about to catch up. Wu Yu and others were already 1 step ahead. 9 people intercepted him, blocking Bai Sha's footsteps. Only then could the 2 tyrannical opponents be completely separated. Did the 9 opponents all give me the materials to refine the corpse puppet? People from Yanhuang Emperor City, I really haven't refined it before. Bai Sha laughed, and the pale alchemy seemed to be made of muscles. When it twitches, it looks like powder will fall off it. Hey, weren't you killed by me? Bai Sha quickly saw Wu Yu. He looked stunned. After all, Wu Yu is just the 9th level of the Golden Elixir Dao realm. No one responded to him. At this time, the Centurions Jia Gongshu sacrificed their magic weapons one after another. Now they winked at each other and were ready to fight at the same time at the moment of encirclement. Although these black and white evil spirits are famous far and wide, but the Yanhuang Emperor City's people are indeed not short of courage. Humph, a bunch of clowns, Bai Sha sneered. Before Wu Yu and others took action, he stretched out his hand and rolled it, and suddenly a pale flag appeared in his hand. The most terrifying thing about the magical instrument is that there are 1,000 eyes. If it were 1,000 real human eyes sewn on the white cloth, each eye would show a different look or pain. Some are ferocious, some are calm, some are crying, and some have red eyes. They are obviously just magic weapons, but they are so real, as if there are 1,000 living people on them. After all, no two of the eyes on them look the same. Yes. Wu Yu looked at the eyes on the white flag and even had the urge to vomit. It is very likely that this magic weapon has something to do with living people. The degree of perversion of ghost cultivators sometimes exceeds their imagination. The thousand-eyed soul-calling banner is forged with the eyes of you ascetics. How does it look? Is it spectacular? Or is it beautiful? You guys are not weak in cultivation. Wouldn't it be more interesting if you added your eyes? Compared to Haisha, Baisha actually spoke more. On the other side, the battle between Huangfu Pajun and Baisha had broken out. It was so violent that the waves were soaring. The entire sea area that could be seen to the east of the Yanhuang warship was filled with their battles. The range, and even the Yanhuang warship, were swaying from side to side because of their battle. Gold and black are colliding crazily. Boom. At this moment, Bai Sha waved the thousand-eyed soul-calling flag, and a sudden chill arose. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 394. Go. The 9 people on Wu Yu's side also started to attack. The Centurions showed their magical powers, and there was no weakling on the scene. The super spiritual instruments they used were worth at least 200,000 yuan of golden elixir. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. For a while, the mysterious arts of heaven and earth and the great magical powers were all directed at Bai Sha. For example, Chen Kang Song and Fan Qingliu, they are good at the mysterious arts of heaven and earth of the wood system. The two cooperated and instantly created an underwater forest, where all things grew, and even their bodies were transformed into trees. Even if they were broken, they could grow out immediately. For example, Gong Shuming, who was good at the Kanghai Dao Sex Kanghai Dao, when the magical arts were performed, the sea rolled, the black ice rose everywhere, and the ice was frozen for thousands of miles. Wu Yu was much simpler, but he was undoubtedly the tip of the attack. Because he was the person closest to Bai Sha on the battlefield and directly engaged him head-on. After all, among the cultivators, except for the Shushan sword cultivators, most of them are not willing to fight with their opponents in close combat. In fact, the ghost cultivators are quite contemptuous of Wu Yu and his group. Bai Sha is confident. As the thousand-eye soul summoning banner rolls, the thousands of eyes on it suddenly rotate and form a vortex. There seems to be a space inside the vortex. Suddenly, someone rushed out of the thousand-eye soul summoning banner. The Yanhuang Immortal Army is a good material for refining corpse puppets and soul puppets, Bai Sha said lightly. The corpse puppets and soul puppets he mentioned are obviously what appeared from the thousand-eye soul summoning banner at this time. The corpse puppet is obviously the corpse of a cultivator. I don't know what method he used to dig out his eyes and draw some vicious and evil magic arrays on his body, so that the power of this cultivator can be condensed and not dispersed, and he is still under the control of Bai Sha. When the corpse puppet appeared, a fishy smell rushed to the sky. The corpse puppet without eyes is extremely terrifying. At this time, 9 of them appeared and rushed towards others respectively. In addition to corpse puppets, there are also soul puppets. The so-called soul puppets are all white smoke. The smoke keeps evolving into human eyes and faces, howling, crying, and roaring, rushing towards Wu Yu and others. There are also 9 groups of mist in total. This soul puppet has been made with the soul of the cultivator, and its method is probably more cruel than the corpse puppet. No wonder Bai Sha is fearless. To deal with Wu Yu and others, his corpse puppet and soul puppet are almost enough. This may be his trump card for so many years. Take a good look, From now on your flesh will be my corpse puppet, and your soul will be my soul puppet. Bai Sha laughed and was unscrupulous. You can imagine how miserable the cultivators who died in his hands would be. Those are all compatriots from Shenzhou. Not to mention other people, even Wu Yu himself felt that such a ghost cultivator was really unforgivable. Killing people is fine, but also torturing people for eternity, and never reincarnating. Soul puppets are like wronged souls, but they are several levels more terrifying than wronged souls. They are the souls of cultivators, and they are in the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Now that the corpse puppets and soul puppets have appeared, everyone has to face a corpse puppet and a soul puppet. The corpse puppet has terrible physical strength. Just after it appeared, it directly blocked the attack of Wu Yu and others for Bai Sha. They are not afraid of death or pain. They immediately roared, shaking the earth and killing everyone. The soul puppet is weird and gloomy. It follows the corpse puppet and also fights. Oops. Wu Yu knew how terrible it was when he faced the corpse puppets and soul puppets that rushed over, especially the soul puppet, which came completely to possess his body. If the soul puppet pounced on him, he might even find it difficult to control his body. Xianxian's shocking soul sword technique. He grabbed a sword from the sumi bag, and chopped the soul puppet on the head regardless of the corpse puppet. The soul puppet screamed in pain and was torn apart by Wu Yu's second sword. But the other 8 did not have Wu Yu's swordsmanship, and the speed of the soul puppets was terrifying. When Wu Yu just solved the soul puppets that attacked him, the others did not stop the soul puppets, allowing those soul puppets to rush directly into their bodies. Suddenly, they could see the struggle and pain in their eyes, which would at least reduce their combat effectiveness by half. Before they struggled to force the soul puppets out, the corpse puppets had already killed them and fought frantically. They are in trouble. Wu Yu knew very well that one corpse puppet and one soul puppet, let alone killing them, how could they have no spare energy to deal with Bai Sha? No one expected Bai Sha to have this method, at least the other side of Haisha did not, so it was also Huangfu Pajun's bad luck and chose the wrong opponent. Because they were possessed by soul puppets, such as Chen Kang's song, they were now fighting with corpse puppets with painful faces. The corpse puppets did not care about life and death at all, and they would not die even if their hands, feet, or even their heads were broken. They had to be smashed. Wu Yu had no time to help them, because the corpse puppets had already killed them. Bai Sha held his chin and looked at Wu Yu with a smile. He saw Wu Yu killed the soul puppet, so he was a little interested. Little brat, it's quite interesting. As soon as he finished speaking, Wu Yu suddenly jumped up, with a swift and violent speed. The Yanhuang Optimus Prime directly hit the head of the corpse puppet. The Super God Heavy Array and the Big Explosion Array suddenly operated. Among them, the Big Explosion Array returned a huge effect, and the huge force directly caused the corpse puppet to explode into pieces. Corpse puppet, solve it. Corpse puppets are not difficult to deal with, but they are already possessed by soul puppets. If they encounter corpse puppets that are not afraid of death, their actions will be completely restricted for a while. Not bad, you are in the Jindan Dao realm? I don't believe it. Bai Sha originally thought that the corpse puppet and soul puppet could deal with these people. He was about to go to the Yanhuang warship and try to seize the Yanhuang warship. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu solved it in an instant and appeared in front of him. Seeing that the others couldn't help, Wu Yu felt worried and said, "You'll know after you try." Bai Sha showed a look of surprise, and then smiled coldly. The thousand-eyed soul-calling flag instantly pointed at Wu Yu, and then the whole person floated towards Wu Yu. Yanhuang warship could see the scene outside. Seeing Wu Yu fighting Bai Sha alone, the people in Kishan camp suddenly exclaimed and looked nervous. "Commander Wu, retreat quickly." Everyone's faces were blue with fear. The deeds of these black and white demons are now spread by word of mouth among everyone. These are definitely two unparalleled demons. Soul-catching eyes. Bai Sha approached with a sly smile, and his eyes suddenly changed. Even the pupils turned completely white, and his eyes instantly became pale, even dead. This is a great magical power. Suddenly, Wu Yu's spirit was greatly shocked, and the whole world in front of him was in chaos. Faced with this kind of supernatural power that disturbs the spirit, Wu Yu's experience has always been to visualize the mental ape. This is equivalent to Bai Sha directly breaking into the spiritual world of visualizing the mental ape. When Wu Yu saw the unrivaled being bathed in flames, when he was the Monkey King, he immediately saw the white evil in this spiritual world. How? Wu Yu stared at the white evil spirit. Bai Sha was startled, and before he could speak, the whole world was engulfed in golden flames. The soul-catching eye tried to frighten Wu Yu's soul, but it was useless. Buzz. Wu Yu picked up Yanhuang Optimus Prime and swept away. Boom boom boom. In the blink of an eye, he had several confrontations with Bai Sha holding the thousand-eyed soul-calling flag. Wu Yu found that facing such a fourth-level existence in the Kanghai realm of Zifu, his previous physical advantage had indeed been reduced a lot. If he had his previous advantages, it would be easy for him to defeat Bai Sha now. Of course, this advantage will become weaker and weaker in the future, if his indestructible body is not enhanced. Even when he reaches the 10th level of Jindan Dao realm, he will be far from the opponent of the 5th level of Zifu Kanghai realm. However, you still have to fight. No wonder it's so powerful. It turns out that the physical body is so terrifying, but... Bai Sha smiled strangely and changed again. The thousand-eyed demon god. His body changed, his body expanded instantly, and he turned into a pale demon. The thousand-eyed soul-calling flag rolled around his body, and the thousands of eyes on the white cloth immediately melted into his body, turning him into a pale demon. Monster! This monster has thousands of eyes. The eyes lit up, gained energy, and became filled with pain and suffering. Save me, those eyes kept asking Wu Yu so harshly. Wu Yu was shocked. The Bai Sha at this moment was undoubtedly terrifying. Outlaw clone. He instantly transformed into clones, and apart from the one who was resting, there were only 9 of them. At the same time, the 10 bodies transformed into immortal ape transformation. 10 golden apes surrounded Bai Sha, the thousand-eyed demon god, and the scene was quite spectacular. A rough showdown. You are very interesting. I will refine you into a corpse puppet. Your body is definitely the best treasure. Bai Sha looked at Wu Yu at this time and his eyes couldn't help but shine. To him, Wu Yu was indeed too rare. Those countless greedy eyes were focused on Wu Yu. As a result, the people in the Yanhuang warship became even more nervous when they heard the sound outside. Those 8 people are completely out of luck. If Commander Wu is defeated, the white evil will definitely target us. What a tragedy, Commander Huangfu is also entangled, and even suppressed by the black evil. We are finished. I really don't know. What are they thinking? Why don't they run away from such a terrifying opponent? It's all Wu Yu's fault. If it weren't for Wu Yu, we wouldn't be in such danger. Wu Yu would have died. The people from King Liu camp couldn't help shouting. Little scream. What are you talking about? When Wu Tianyu heard this, he immediately became furious and rushed over. Without saying a word, he slapped the man in the face and said angrily, "Our commander is protecting us, but you said such heartless words. See if I don't beat you to death. How dare you hit us from King Liu camp? Brothers from Kang Song camp, we have been bullied by Kishan camp. Get 'em." For a moment, the Yanhuang warships became chaotic and clashed fiercely. Kishan camp was besieged by 2 battalions and could only be at a disadvantage for a while. Wu Tianyu was also pressed to the ground in the chaos and was whipped several times. He has a bad heart and a dog's lungs, seeking death. Why are you Kishan camp so proud? If Wu Yu is so good, why not die in battle right away? While they were in confusion, Wu Yu was charging head-on with Bai Sha's ultimate form, the thousand-eyed demon god. Boom boom boom. During the confrontation, both of them used their own methods. Bang bang bang. The clones' Xianxian frightening swordsmanship still had little effect. Wu Yu's clones tore the white evil apart one by one. As soon as the battle started, Wu Yu was indeed suppressed. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 395. Ever since I had my clones, I have never been killed and destroyed one after another like now. Even many defensive sword cultivation techniques cannot stop the body of Baisha, the thousand-eyed demon god. On the pale body, thousands of bewitching eyes disturbed the mind and caused an extremely powerful mental impact on Wu Yu. In this aspect alone, at least most of the combat effectiveness would be reduced. Clone? Or clone, Baisha tore apart Wu Yu's two clones in succession. Until this time, people watched Wu Yu's clones die in battle one by one. In the end, only 3 Wu Yus were left, each one standing around the Baisha thousand-eyed demon god. Your clone looks pretty good, but it's of no use to me. What a pity, Baisha let out a jeering laugh. Wu Yu took a look and saw that the Centurions and Gong Shuming were still completely under control, and no one was helping him at this time. Boom. Another clone, easily torn apart by Baisha. Is there more? Baisha suddenly turned around and looked at Wu Yu and the last clone teasingly. Outlaw doppelganger. The extra-legal clones were shattered one by one. Frankly speaking, Wu Yu felt that this extra-legal clone's magical power had not really shown a decisive combat effect yet. Not even as good as some that can be used directly in battle. But in fact, it is also because his body is too strong. If not, his clones would definitely be terrifying in comparison. But what he actually knows better is that he still doesn't really understand this magical power. After all, his attainment in this magical power has only barely reached the second level. For the entire 10 levels, it is considered very elementary. However, he did spend a lot of time thinking about it. Right. When these clones in front of them were defeated one by one and disappeared, they turned into golden hair again, and returned to their own heads exhausted. In the end, they looked no different from other hairs. Broken, then established. Ever since he used this extra-legal clone, Wu Yu has never let him die in battle. He even practiced a lot of defensive techniques on his own, specifically to make the clones last longer and maintain their strongest state. But now, when the last clone died in battle, he had a new understanding. There is life and death, that is life. Just when all the clones disappeared, Wu Yu realized the new realm of this extra-legal clone because of the life and death of this clone. Just as his own cultivation was rough and direct, in fact, even the Monkey King's magical power, it's also like this: keep moving forward bravely, never break or stand. If one person falls, there are still millions. Regarding the third level of outlaw clones, Wu Yu has thought about it countless times. In fact, he knows how to condense more clones, but he always feels that something is missing, and now he has figured it out. Perhaps the help that the extra-legal clone brings to him now is relatively limited, but one day in the future, when this magical power reaches perfection, he will definitely be the hero of Yuchi. At this time, my heart felt smooth. On top of the golden elixir, more complex lines appeared in the magical power brand, transforming the magical power brand into a more perfect one. Although it was far from being truly mature, it was finally more complete. Call. Under the transformation of Wu Yu's magical power, there were still 90 hairs on his body that turned into gold and became a new clone. When Wu Yu flicked it suddenly, the 90 golden hairs scattered out, and the light shone for a moment. The golden hairs quickly transformed into 90 golden apes in front of Wu Yu's eyes. All of them were exactly the same as Wu Yu. Another 90 clones. Of course, these 90 clones have just been formed and are far less mature than the previous 10. But from the visual effect point of view, it is at least shocking. The Yanhuang immortal army of the Yanhuang warship were fighting, some were trying to break up the fight, and some were attacking. Kishan camp could only be forced to defend, and many of Kishan camp were injured. Because of Wu Yu's sudden change, everyone stopped and looked outside in shock. Bai Sha was also depressed. He had just killed 10, and 90 more came. How could Wu Yu's clones be endless? Just as I had this thought in my mind, I saw countless golden immortal apes suddenly dispersed and surrounded Bai Sha. Rush. 90 clones rushed forward, including Wu Yu's true form. Although he is facing a strong person who has exceeded his limits, Wu Yu is now full of confidence. In immortal battles, sometimes the most important thing is the instantaneous change of mood on the battlefield. Bai Sha is the shocking moment. The art of trapping the dragon and trapping the sky. At this time, all the clones and Wu Yu's body were performing the same action, which was the dragon prisoning technique. 91 people, all of them are cast by themselves, but they are cast by different clones, so there will be some differences. The biggest difference is that the main body's dragon trapping spell is much stronger. But in fact, because the core of it is Wu Yu himself, there is almost no difference in the depth and familiarity of the mystical arts of heaven and earth. Countless whirlpools appeared under Bai Sha, to his left and right, and even above his head. Among them, the black vortex at the foot is the largest, and there are 90 whirlpools around it, blocking all its exits. Boom! In everyone's extremely shocked eyes, 8 black dragons rushed out of the black whirlpool. Among them, the black dragon under Bai Sha's feet was the largest. As soon as they appeared, they completely entangled Bai Sha to death. When Bai Sha was struggling and shattering the black dragon that sealed his body, more than 700 other black dragons, although not big, were all wrapped around him, and even a finger was entangled to death. At this time, Bai Sha, unintentionally received a terrifying blockade. This is 90 times of heaven and earth magic. This was the best opportunity since Wu Yu and Bai Sha fought, forcing Bai Sha to even want to retreat the corpse puppet and soul puppet. You only get one chance. Violence. The violent technique can only be used once, so he saved it for the last time. After the violent technique, he became even more like a madman, with huge strength. He had just reached the 9th level of the Golden Elixir Dao realm, and his Dan Yuan was surging. He held Xuanhuan Optimus Prime with both hands and rushed to the top of Bai Sha's head in an instant. Black Evil, White Evil roared miserably as he struggled in the dragon prisoning heaven technique. This is a cry for help. However, Wu Yu moved quickly and showed no mercy. He was the one who died after missing this opportunity. Therefore, his Xuanhuan Optimus Prime once again pierced the incomparably shining golden light. The big explosion array erupted at the same time. The so-called creation of Earth means the creation of heaven and earth. In the chaotic universe, a piece of heaven and earth is torn apart, which shows the will and power of this magic circle. Coupled with the rough power of Wu Yu's physical body, the power of violent techniques completely bombarded Bai Sha's head at this moment. After a long time of brewing, he killed with one blow. There was an earth-shattering scream, and then it stopped abruptly, because his body had been directly blasted by Wu Yu. In an instant, under the siege of hundreds of identities, Bai Sha was still majestic, but he died in an instant. He never expected that the screams after death in battle would be so sad. To him, a young man he had never expected to be calm and persistent could simply destroy him. He didn't even reach it. Wu Yu's defeat was very accidental. If the extrajudicial clone hadn't happened to make a breakthrough, he would have been unable to completely suppress Bai Sha just by relying on his dragon prisoning technique. Now, the golden light dissipated instantly. The white evil is gone. The corpse puppet and the soul puppet lost control, so the corpse puppet stopped moving, and the soul puppet also left Chen Kangsong and the others' bodies, looking around blankly. Chen Kangsong and the others had just woken up when they saw Wu Yu killing Bai Sha. Well, even Gong Shuming, including Gong Shuming, couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. The eyes looking at Wu Yu had changed continuously. Thinking of his previous terrifying improvement, Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu were suddenly frightened. I'm afraid they only realized it at this time. What a stupid thing they have been doing recently, no wonder no one helped them during this conflict. And they knew that in the Yanhuang warship, their 2 battalions also besieged Kishan camp. Wu Yu, I still underestimate you. Even Commander Huangfu didn't defeat the black evil, but you killed the white evil. Gong Shuming quickly came forward and expressed his sincere admiration. The eyes of the other centurions also showed some admiration. Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu were the only ones left where they were. They had no face to show up. Unexpectedly, at this time, except for the 2 of them, everyone else was dominated by Wu Yu. Especially on the side of Yanhuang warship, Kishaning was very proud, and tears filled their eyes at this time. In addition to Kangsong camp and Qingliu camp, everyone was ecstatic, and they were on the same front as Kishan camp, which made Kangsong camp and Qingliu camp particularly isolated. Commander Wu. Everyone chanted together. Kangsong camp and Qingliu camp knew that their commanders were causing trouble. The civil war between Yanhuang warships and the centurions outside also knew that they would probably be punished now. However, they were not afraid. After all, everyone was watching. Wu Tianyu made the first move. Wu Yu has now used violent techniques, and his muscles are actually a little tired, but the black evil is still there, and his fighting power is overwhelming. Now is not the time to rest. He said, let's go help Huangfu. Just said this. Wu Yu and the others never expected that the black evil could also control those corpse puppets and soul puppets. At this time, Haisha glanced here for a moment, and in an instant, the corpse puppet and soul puppet moved. At this time, everyone except Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu gathered around Wu Yu, and they were the only 2 who were still next to the corpse puppet and soul puppet. The soul puppet suddenly moved, 4 of them rushed towards Chen Kangsong, and 5 rushed towards Fan Qingliu. It was obvious that Haisha wanted to kill 2 of them and bury them with Baisha. Whoosh! Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu were possessed by 4 and 5 soul puppets respectively. They were unable to move for a while and were completely in a state of being controlled by the soul puppets. After all, they are 4 or 5 soul puppets. The corpse puppet was even more direct. The moment the 2 of them lost consciousness, 9 corpse puppets swarmed up. Before Wu Yu and others could react, their sharp claws inserted into the bodies of Chen Kangsong and Chen Kangsong. In front of everyone, he directly tore these 2 people apart. Tear. Flesh and blood flying everywhere. That scene was simply cruel to the extreme. For a moment, everyone was simply stunned. Wu Yu never expected that although he hated these 2 people, he didn't want them to die either. After the corpse soul puppet succeeded, they immediately gathered together and rushed towards Haisha instead of attacking, /U003 cent /U003E /U003C /Sente /U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 396. Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu suddenly died in battle. Wu Yu and others were shocked to realize that it was already too late. This was also because they were embarrassed to come forward after Wu Yu killed Baisha, so they suffered a sudden disaster. However, this also had something to do with themselves. Wu Yu was also unable to stop the sudden attack of the black evil so quickly after using the violent technique. After reacting, the 2 of them were dead, and the corpse puppet and soul puppet had already rushed towards Huangfu Pajun. If the corpse puppet and soul puppet got entangled, Huangfu Pajun would definitely be in danger. At this time, there was no time to blame themselves. Wu Yu and others immediately chased after them and pinned them firmly behind the corpse puppet and soul puppet. At the same time, they quickly reminded Huangfu Pajun. Chen Kangsong and the others just died because they were unprepared. Huangfu Pajun actually knew the situation here very well. At this time, the black evil spirit took a deep look at Wu Yu, smiled coldly, and said, with such ability, he must be the top new generation figure in Yanhuang Emperor City. By evil will die in your hands, it's not unfair. However, as his brother, I will make you sleepless and sleepless. Boy, our methods of ghost cultivators are not like those of ascetics. I have countless ways to make you miserable, unless you have no relatives or friends. No friends, no masters, no brothers, unless you are alone. This sentence made Wu Yu's hair stand on end. The revenge of the ghost cultivator. Ghost cultivators do all kinds of evil, and they don't pay attention to morality, nor do they care about their identity. They are completely unscrupulous in whatever they want to do. In this way, if he sneaks into Shenzhou to check Wu Yu's information, he will be the only one to do it. Then it will be easy to find out Wu Yu's information. At that time, Wu Yu will be most worried about Wu Yu, Dongyu Wu Kingdom and Tongtian Sword section. With this black evil method, he can turn these two places into the human world. Hell. But this undoubtedly touched Wu Yu's back again. Suqiao is his hometown, Tongtian Sword sect is where he started, Wu Yu is his biological sister, Feng Shuya is his master, Su Yanli is his senior sister, Mo Shishu, Qing Mang, etc. This time, Wu Yu was really anxious and extremely angry. Haisha. At this time, he wanted to assist Huangfu to break the army and kill Haisha, and it would be over. But unexpectedly, Haisha gathered with the corpse puppets and soul puppets at this time. After putting away the corpse puppets and soul puppets, he actually got rid of Huangfu Pajun, turned around, turned into a thick black smoke, and fled quickly. Huangfu Pajun hesitated for a moment. Everyone was relieved to see the black evil escaping. After all, they were afraid of the black and white evil. Being able to see them leave was already considered a victory. Originally, they just wanted to beat them away. Now, it can be regarded as a disaster. Although 2 centurions were killed, after all, he also killed Baisha, which is a great merit. Therefore, they subconsciously thought that they should rest. Many people sat on the ground in the Yanhuang warship. On the other hand, Huangfu Pajun and Wu Yu looked at each other and made an immediate decision. As soon as the black evil spirit leaves, he will definitely look for help. Then the trouble will be even greater. Now that the situation is great, if we catch up, Wu Yu and I may be able to kill him once and for all. In fact, this was one of them. The more important point was that he also heard that if the black evil did not die, Wu Yu's relatives and friends would be in danger. This time Wu Yu was a big help, and Huangfu Pajun felt that he should do this. Now that the people who opposed Wu Yu and Huangfu Pajun were dead, the other centurions hesitated, especially because Gong Shuming needed to temporarily abandon the Lanling gold mine for a certain period of time. There might be ghost cultivators sneaking in and causing a slight loss, but this loss is actually nothing compared with the respect for Wu Yu. Therefore, under the control of Huangfu Pajun, the Yanhuang warship rose into the sky, and everyone rushed onto the Yanhuang warship. Then Huangfu Pajun instantly took control of the Yanhuang warship and chased Haisha. What's going on? Are you going to chase the black evil? Are you trying to kill yourself? We won't even be stationed at the Lanling gold mine for the time being. What if it is occupied by someone else? There are currently no ghost cultivators nearby and others cannot occupy them. I guess the commanders want to kill the black evil spirits to prevent them from finding helpers again. Just kill, you don't have to do anything, so what are you afraid of? The most disappointed people here are the people of Kangsong Camp and Qingliu Camp. Now that their commanders have died in the battle, the 2 battalions will definitely be led by others in the future, and their names will have to be changed by then. Wu Yu appeared in the cabin at this time, and Huangfu Pajun was manning the chase outside. The Yanhuang warship was faster than Haisha, but Haisha was familiar with the environment and unpredictable, so he couldn't catch up yet. Did you fight? A closer look showed that many people in Kishan camp were injured. As soon as Wu Yu arrived, everyone fell silent, especially Kang Song camp and King Liu camp, who bowed their heads. Commander Wu, it has nothing to do with them. I was the one who beat them first. Wu Tianyu stood up at this time and said very grandly. Now it's important to chase down the black evil. This is a trivial matter for us, so you don't need to distract me. I will remember whoever hit me, and I will pay it back myself in the future, Wu Tianyu said. Everyone in Kishan camp also meant the same thing. To be honest, when he was fighting, Kang Song camp and King Liu camp were still attacking his Kishan camp, and he was very angry at that time. Now that Chen Kangsong and Chen Kangsong were both dead, he thought it was better to forget it, so as not to make people think he was too stingy. Wu Yu returned to the cabin. At this time, the Yanhuang warship was penetrating the abyss of the sea. A black shadow was in front of him. Huangfu Pajun was concentrating on chasing him. The current distance was not suitable for intercepting him. He needed to get closer. Wu Yu, go east. This is the world of ghost cultivators, not ours, and our mission itself is to guard the Lanling gold mine. What we are doing now is a bit random. Therefore, if we pursue you to a certain extent, we haven't. If we catch up with Haisha, we may have to give up. After all, I also have to take into account the lives of the other Yanhuang immortal army. Once the time comes for ghost cultivation, this Yanhuang immortal army will definitely not be enough. The base camp of ghost cultivators and demons was a place that even the Yanhuang Emperor city dared not attack. Well, I know it well, Wu Yu nodded and said. Time was running out, so he tried his best to improve himself and recover from the sequelae left by the battle while Huangfu Pajun was chasing him. Haisha is quite cunning and keeps changing directions. It is very difficult for the Yanhuang warships to chase. If they chase in a straight line, the distance will be shortened quickly. However, Haisha basically moves forward in a curved way, or even turns upside down, and uses the mysterious magic of heaven and earth to hide its movement. Trace. The two were in a battle of wits and courage. The effects of violent spells wear off over time. After defeating Baisha this time, Wu Yu received unprecedented wealth. Not to mention magical weapons such as the thousand-eyed soul-calling banner, not to mention the huge amounts of ghost-cultivating sundries, usable elixirs, and the vitality of the sea. The number of elixirs, Yuanjin elixirs, etc. is also over 800, which means more than 800,000 meritorious deeds. Sure enough, fighting here is indeed a fruitful experience. Wu Yu transformed these more than 800 Kanghai Yuankai pills into the Yanhuang warship without even thinking, and then asked them to take Kanghai Yuankai pills to temper the golden elixir. These 90 clones had just been born, and they were still far away. To reach the limit, a large amount of elixirs are needed, and their limit is a little worse than the other one. Of course, because of the huge amount, the effect they can exert is also very huge. Wu Yu divided out 400 Kanghai Yuankai pills, which was probably enough to push the new 90 clones to their limit. While the clone was being tempered, his true body and Huangfu Pajun were chasing the Haisha. Seeing that half a day had passed, Huangfu Pajun's face looked a little ugly. Because if this continues, the Yanhuang warship will become more and more dangerous. Many people in the Yanhuang immortal army were a little frightened when they saw that the position was getting deeper and deeper. Especially nearby, the water temperature seems to have increased. Looking down, there seems to be continuous volcanoes and submarine magma on the seabed. Another half day has passed, and the water temperature has become so high that it doesn't even look like water. It's like magma flowing across the entire sea area, and the surroundings are blurry and hazy. After chasing here, the traces of Haisha became even more difficult to distinguish. Maybe even pursued. I didn't expect this black devil to be so cunning and use this terrain to get rid of us. Wu Yu, for the sake of everyone's safety, there is no way to pursue me any longer. Do you understand me? Huangfu Pajun said apologetically. Of course Wu Yu understood. If he continued to pursue them, the Yanhuang warship would probably be destroyed. None of them dared to be so high profile in Gaixiu's territory. The Yanhuang warship is indeed very high profile. I understand, Wu Yu said cautiously. However, he is still unwilling to give in. He hates Heisha very much at this moment because Heisha threatens his family. He threatened his relatives and friends. Those who were most important to him. After Huangfu Pajun got his understanding, he was preparing to transfer back and continue to garrison the Lanling gold mine. After all, there were still 2 months to follow and his mission had not yet been completed. Wu Yu said at this time, Commander, I voluntarily stay alone to hunt down Heisha. If the Yanhuang warship is gone, he will definitely not escape again. This is my decision. Please understand me. He made this choice after careful consideration. This decision is indeed earth-shattering. Huangfu Pajun and others were frightened by Wu Yu's courage. No matter how he said it, he was only in the Jindan Dao realm, but he actually went after Heisha in this unfamiliar territory, Heisha's territory. Who knew Heisha? What tricks can Sha use here? But since Wu Yu killed Bai Sha, Huangfu Pajun admired him very much. He just looked nervous and asked, Wu Yu, are you sure you have thought about it? Isn't it impulsive? If you go back to transfer your relatives now, it will still be too late. You can't fight the black evil here. This is his territory and you are alone. Wu Yu smiled faintly, resolutely, and said, I can't move them, they are in the land where they are born and raised, and I don't want to disturb them. I can't back down just because someone wants to deal with them, I just need to kill him Heisha. In addition, I also not just one person. Behind him, there were 100 clones, 100 Wu Yu. There will be an update tonight. /U003 cent /U003e /U003c /sente /U003e. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 397. Wu Yu's decision was really crazy. However, this is his character as everyone imagined. In fact, if Wu Yu is here to contain Heisha, Huangfu Pajun's return to Lanling gold mine will also relieve a lot of pressure. Of course, Huangfu Pajun also respects Wu Yu. Besides, he didn't defeat the black evil, but Wu Yu defeated the white evil alone. For this reason alone, he was not qualified to stop Wu Yu from fighting alone. The reason for the slight hesitation was because he was concerned about Wu Yu's life and death. It's just that the Yanhuang Emperor City is the Yanhuang Emperor City. Even if he values Wu Yu's genius and wants him not to take risks, but then he thinks about it, without taking risks, how can a top genius come about? Moreover, Wu Yu has enough fighting understanding. The black evil had threatened the safety of his relatives. Huangfu Pajun thought that if it were him, he would probably choose this way. After all, he knew that Wu Yu's hometown was not too far away from here, and with Heisha's ability, it was easy to find it. After all, Dongyu Wu State had a huge target. I won't say anything else. I hope to see you return safely and receive 150,000 merits in Yanhuang Emperor City. Although it is not much, it is an honor. Merit is also an important basis for promotion to the rank of 1000 Commander. Sufficient strength does not necessarily mean that one will be promoted to the rank of 1000 Commander. No problem, Wu Yu said simply and decisively. This decisive decision also impressed Huangfu Pajun. Next, Wu Yu explained to his brothers and sisters in Kishan camp, asking them to follow Huangfu Pajun's arrangements. Commander Wu, don't worry about killing the enemy. We will never let you worry, Wu Tianyu said with red eyes. The most important thing is to stay alive. You can't become an immortal if you die, Fang Keoken reminded. He asked Wu Yu about this topic. He asked, what is the most important thing if you want to become an immortal? Wu Yu replied, alive. Wu Yu smiled and said, living is the prerequisite, but there are some things that cannot be taken back even if you die. Otherwise, what is the use of becoming an immortal? This could be considered his new answer to Fang Keoken. After saying that, he did not stay any longer. He and his 100 clones left neatly. When Wu Yu changed the Yanhuang immortal armor into ordinary clothes and did not hold the Yanhuang Optimus Prime, from the outside, in fact, it's hard to find out which one is the real him. After he went out, he turned around and waved his hand. Huangfu Pajun stopped staying and left in the Yanhuang warship. After all, if the Yanhuang warship stays here, Haisha will only continue to escape. After the Yanhuang warship left, Wu Yu and his hundreds of clones quickly dispersed and went to various places. In this way, Wu Yu was equivalent to having hundreds of pairs of eyes. No matter which clone encountered the black evil, he could know the location of Haisha. Haisha, I will hunt you down alone. If you have the guts, don't run away. I don't like to hear people threaten my relatives and friends. Since you have such intention, then let me make a decision. The Yanhuang warship has left. I am the only one here. All his clones and himself were saying the same words, so such sounds echoed around here, and even spread out to make wishes. Wu Yu had hundreds of pairs of eyes, all observing his surroundings carefully. This sea area is different from the sea area of Lanling Gold Mine. The sea water here is turbid and dim yellow. If you look closely, there are even sparks on the water droplets, as if the entire ocean is burning. It's a miracle that water can burn, and that it can burn to such an extent. In other words, it's not water at all. Wu Yu understood deeply. Because the sea water was turbid and yellow, the distance that could be seen was very short. Haisha lost all traces in the sea area, but his intuition told Wu Yu that when he came here and found that the Yanhuang warship had stopped, Haisha should not continue to escape. After all, he was safe. Moreover, since he escaped here, he also had the purpose of attracting the Yanhuang warship here. This was also the reason why Huangfu Pajun realized that the road ahead was dangerous and retreated hurriedly. He definitely heard my voice. Wu Yu asked hundreds of clones to disperse completely and spread out across the sea area, looking for traces of Haisha. Hey Shat, there's no need to hide. I killed Bai Shat. I really want to avenge him. I'll just wait for you here. His voice was quiet and kept roaring, causing the sea water to tremble. Go down suddenly. Ming Long, who had disappeared for a long time, suddenly spoke to him. What are you going to do? Wu Yu was chasing Haisha, but she wanted to go to the bottom of the sea by herself. Nonsense, I can't waste your time. We agreed, if we don't go on this time, if there are any benefits, you will regret it for the rest of your life. So exaggerated. He also knew that Ming Tong would not joke around, so he let himself and hundreds of clones go down together. Sure enough, the further down you go, the higher the temperature of the sea. When you get down, you can see a red seabed. It's no longer soil, but violently burning lava. It's really unbelievable that there is such a strange scene on the bottom of the sea. It's not just this area. I'm afraid the bottom of the sea for thousands of miles is filled with various lava mountains. When he reached the bottom of the sea, his clones spread out and looked around. The spectacle on the bottom of the sea was indeed huge, and if he plunged into the lava, it would probably be very deep. There is a certain possibility, Ming Long babbled. What are the possibilities? Wu Yu asked. As soon as he asked this question, among all his scattered clones, one of them was walking into a chaotic sea area of sea water and magma. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared in front of him, gradually emerging, and appeared in front of Wu Yu in the blink of an eye. Black evil. Haisha's whole body was pitch black, even his teeth were pitch black. He grinned and said, "What's your name? With such courage and talent, I didn't know there was a person like you in Yanhuang Emperor City." Wu Yu was gathering his clones and heading towards Haisha. His clone said, "The ghost cultivator is short-sighted. How could he know that there are countless talented people in this land of China? Of course, I am a nobody. It doesn't matter if you don't know my name. If he tells his name, if Haisha escapes today, it will be easier to find out the Dongyu Wu kingdom." Haisha sneered and said, "Don't fool me, I know how many decent characters there are in Yanhuang Emperor City. For someone like you, I only need a communication talisman to know who you are. I know who he is without the summoning talisman. The former abandoned disciple of Xuanhuan, Wu Yu, right?" Suddenly, a cold female voice came from behind Haisha. Immediately afterwards, a red-gold fireball broke through the water waves and came. Among the red-gold flames, a woman could be vaguely seen, but she was not entirely a woman. When Wu Yu took a closer look at his appearance, he was immediately surprised. It turned out that the woman's upper body was that of a human, and from the waist down, she had the body of a golden lion. Man and lion are a perfect combination. It's just that the lion's head has been changed into a human body and an animal. There is such a thing under the sky. Judging from the golden lion on the lower body, it is huge and powerful. It is definitely a top-notch demon. As for her upper body, she wears no clothes, with her breasts and abdomen exposed, and only her long golden wavy hair, which is somewhat covered up. This woman's face is quite beautiful, indeed. The lower body of this lion is really not flattering. Wu Yu had no idea what the thing in front of him was it a human or a demon? He has the aura of a demon, but also the aura of a monk. It's really complicated and terrifying. Mingtaki was also surprised and said, "I didn't expect that this type of secret technique could still be spread to this day. Even in my time, 120,000 years ago, this was banned and was deeply hated by the monastic community." "What on earth is this?" Wu Yu asked quickly as he rushed over. "It is a secret method of ghost cultivation. When a child is young, to capture a demon that has just opened its spiritual intelligence, one will usually choose one with a strong bloodline, the stronger the better, and then use the secret method to forcibly connect the child and the demon. Together, we call it the half-demon technique. The advantage of this is that it allows a child with no outstanding talent to control half of the demon's body. After many years of fusion, the demon can be awakened. You can also learn ghost cultivation techniques with your natal magical powers and many demonic techniques. You have the powerful body of a demon and the talent of a human being to cultivate Taoism. However, the mortality rate of this method is too high and it is unbearable for both humans and demons. Therefore, rejected and even hated by both cultivators and demons, some ghost cultivators dare to catch demons, cut off their heads, and do such unethical things, but it is undeniable that this kind of half-demon is very powerful in combat. It's like fighting a combination of humans and demons. Indeed, only ghost cultivators can do such a cruel method. On the land of Shenzhou, demons are synonymous with evil, but Wu Yu feels that this is actually a kind of racial struggle, but ghost cultivators are originally from the human race. At least for Wu Yu, he feels that ghost cultivators are much scarier than demons. "Kang Xiu Qing Feng, I escaped to you today and made you laugh." Haisha glanced at the half-demon behind him and said lightly. The half-demon Kang Shui Qing Feng said, "Don't say such polite words. You and Bai Sha are my friends. Now that Bai Sha is dead, how can I stand by and watch? For so many years, I have suffered discrimination, and you are the only one who has suffered. These two are my friends." While they were talking, they had actually surrounded Wu Yu's clone. Wu Yu really didn't expect that there were two of them. He originally wanted to bring many clones to rush forward and kill the black evil, but as soon as Kang Shui Qing Feng appeared, it was obvious that he could not fight head-on, otherwise there was more than 90% chance that he would die in battle. The best way was to separate them. However, they won't be separated that easily. Wu Yu couldn't help but frown. Maybe this would be a protracted battle. Naturally, he didn't want this Kang Shueqing Fang to go to the Lanling gold mine. He stopped and did not continue to summon the clones to fight. The clones spread out. At this moment, Kang Shueqing Feng and He Sha suddenly took action to intercept and kill Wu Yu. Of course, it was a clone, so in an instant, the two of them were killed on the spot. Another clone. This Wu Yu has hundreds of clones, He Sha said. Then, kill them all, this is my territory, he can't escape my eyes. At this time, she waved her hand, and millions of fish with golden flames suddenly appeared around her. Those fish eyes are all hers. \U003 cent \U003e \U003c /cente \U003e. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 398. Whoever finds all the clones and true bodies first will be rewarded. Kang Shueqing Feng laughed, and immediately, the millions of angry fish controlled by her dispersed and shot out in all directions. Go. When these angry fish act, they are like flames flowing on the bottom of the sea. Millions of them move together and spread out in all directions. The scene is quite spectacular. Boom boom. The entire sea area was almost boiling because of this. When Wu Yu's clone was destroyed, he knew that danger was coming. Not far from that clone, there were actually one or two clones. These angry fish came from the direction of He Sha and the others. Wu Yu knew as soon as he thought about it that they must be controlled by Kang Shueqing Feng to find Wu Yu and his clones. There were so many angry fish that Wu Yu couldn't hide them. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. For example, his clone that was approaching was immediately spotted by the angry fish. The angry fish let out a harsh scream, and thousands of people immediately surrounded Wu Yu's clone. It was obviously the angry fish that alerted Kang Shueqing Feng, so the next moment, the green snow and green maple appeared in front of Wu Yu, and He Sha appeared behind him. Whoosh! He Sha held a black sword in his hand. He moved quickly and fiercely. The black sword penetrated Wu Yu's swordsmanship and killed the clone instantly. It's still a clone, but if this continues, this Shushan abandoned disciple really won't be able to hold on for long. He Sha said calmly and indifferently. Wu Yu naturally knew that it was indeed too dangerous for him now. There is even a huge life crisis. Even if the clones are scattered now, they probably cannot escape the search of this angry fish. Fortunately, Wu Yu was much faster than the angry fish. As long as he is willing to escape directly, he can still escape. Now that the situation had reached this level, Wu Yu had no chance of defeating these two men alone, so he directly chose to retreat. Therefore, as soon as possible, before the angry fish arrived, he let the clone quickly evacuate and return to himself. The golden hair after being killed also returned to his body. After spending some time collecting the clones, Wu Yu turned around and left. We can only ask Xuanhuan Pajun for help. Now that Kang Shueqing Feng has joined us, I'm afraid it will be really difficult to hold the Lanling gold mine. He broke through the heavy waves and moved forward, followed by turbulent waves. It was probably that He Sha and the others found that they had gathered all their clones and were preparing to escape, so they pursued him in the direction of the Lanling gold mine. Wu Yu, didn't you come to kill me? Why are you running away now? Weren't you very arrogant just now? Now, you are a lost dog. Black evil provokes. If you escape this time, your relatives and friends will be in danger. How will I deal with them? You also know what methods our ghost cultivators have. Believe me, you will be so angry that you will vomit 3 liters of blood. These words of He Sha are indeed extremely vicious. Anyone who is young and passionate will turn around at this time and let him and Kang Shuiqing Feng kill them easily. Wu Yu could only leave first, and Haisha couldn't find Suqiao so quickly. He still had some time, so there was no need to be in such a hurry. But when he was escaping, Ming Long said lazily, "I just said that if you miss it, you will definitely regret it. How come you forgot so quickly and didn't treat your grandma and me as the same thing?" Just now, Haisha suddenly appeared and interrupted her words. "What are you going to say? Be more sincere in your tone." "I am giving you a blessing," Ming Tong said arrogantly. "Auntie, if you have any treasures, please don't tease me." Wu Yu was anxious at this time, thinking that Ming Long might be able to bring him a turn for the better. "Haha, I'm not sure about that either. You dive in now and I won't be sure until you get closer," Ming Long said. "Down, the bottom is the lava on the seabed. Going further down is to penetrate the lava. Although the space inside is huge, it should be limited. When you go in, there will definitely be some movement. If the two of them chase if you go in, you may not be able to escape." "Are you sure? What's down there?" Wu Yu still hesitated a little. At this time, he still needed to think about doing something like this that would lead to death. There are 2 underground treasure moon furnaces, that's for sure. This is the bottom of the sea. It's a miracle to have such an underground furnace. But now the underground treasure moon furnace is of little use to you. I guess the magma here has affected you so much. With such a large volcano underneath a large sea area, there might be an underground Haori furnace at its very bottom. The underground Haori furnace. That is an important condition for the advancement of Wu Yu's indestructible body. He had checked the news about the Haori furnace underground in the Divine Continent, but found nothing, and even many places where there might be some had been exhausted. He really never thought that in this underwater world covered by water, something he had been dreaming about would appear. How likely is it, he still needed to ask. About that, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8%, Ming Long said with a smile. "How much is it?" 1%. Wu Yu was stunned for a moment. What this guy said was really depressing. It was obviously 10%, but he still said it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0%. However, he thought about it. Even if he is 10% sure, he has to go in for such an important thing. Besides, there must be an underground Bayu furnace below. Even if there is no underground Haori furnace, the existence of the underground Bayu furnace is a very good fighting environment for him. At least Haisha can't fight him in such an environment. As for Kang Shuiqing Feng, his demon bloodline should belong to fire, but he may not have Wu Yu's super strong fire resistance. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 399. In front of him is the largest underground Bayu furnace in the Ghost Eater volcano. This underground Bayu furnace is much larger than the one Wu Yu had before. If he had devoured the Bayu furnace here to forge his indestructible body, then his body would be stronger. In front of him, it was like a furnace of heaven and earth. The boiling sea of fire was so vast and the heat was so intense that ordinary steel and even most of the Turan pattern treasures would evaporate instantly if they fell into it. Not even the Xuanhuan immortal armor can withstand this kind of heat. Wu Yu simply took off the Xuanhuan immortal armor. His current body was originally formed by swallowing the underground treasure moon furnace, so when he entered it, he felt like a fish in water. To him, the vast golden magma around him was indeed not much different from sea water, and was even warmer. But Haisha couldn't do it. As soon as he came in, he had to use several layers of heaven and earth magic to protect himself. Just like a mortal falling into the furnace, he was sweating all over and panting. On the other hand, Kang Shuiqing Feng was a little better. The lion's body shuttled through the furnace, setting off turbulent waves of golden magma. "Wu Yu, where else do you want to escape?" Kang Shuqingfeng chased Wu Yu's identity. Wu Yu didn't know what was going on deep in the furnace for the time being. If after fighting with them, I make the illusion of going down below by mistake and seem to die in battle, they will definitely find trouble with the Yanhuang warship soon. I have to make them confused and let them stay here for a few days. Thinking of this, Wu Yu suddenly smiled and said, "Of course I'm escaping to a place where you can't go. It's not that easy to catch me." He laughed as he went deeper, without stopping at all. You want to go deeper? When Kang Shuqingfeng reached the position surrounded by golden magma, he already felt that his physical body and Taoism could hardly bear it. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu underneath her was still going down. "You are really crazy," Kang Shuqingfeng said angrily. "This is my territory. Of course I'm going crazy. If you don't accept it, just come in and find me." Wu Yu's tone was very calm. He continued to go deeper like a fish, with his golden skin and golden people around him. The magma is almost melted together. This huge furnace is like its body. In such an environment, Kang Shuqingfeng is indeed not as good as Wu Yu. However, after all, the black evil is still behind her. Even with such convenience, Wu Yu did not take the risk. Now what he wants to know more is whether what he expected will appear under this melting pot. "If you go any further, you are seeking death," Kang Shuqingfeng said coldly. "I'll just go down, what can you do?" All Wu Yu's words were hinting to them that at least he had to delay these two people for a while. Judging from Kang Shuqingfeng's resistance to the underground Beiyu furnace, he could not enter the hotter place below. Speaking of this, he has actually reached the very bottom of the underground Beiyu furnace. This is the hottest place, but going down, it gets even hotter. Wu Yu deeply understood that there must be something even hotter among them. That's right, there is a larger furnace below. These 8 underground Beiyu furnaces are all branched off from this largest furnace. With such a huge scale and such a high temperature, they must be the underground Haori furnace. I didn't expect the underground Haori furnace to appear here instead of on land. It's truly a miracle, Ming Long said excitedly. Wu Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then became even more excited. He didn't even bother to care whether there were 2 terrifying ghost cultivators chasing behind him. "Follow me if you have the guts." Wu Yu roared one last time. At this time, he had already seen that there was a deep golden furnace underneath. The rich golden color in it was like molten iron flowing, emitting raging flames. There were bursts of roars here, and the whole ghost was here. Eat the core of the volcano. The magma that stretches for thousands of miles in the Ghost Sword volcano all originates from here. Wu Yu's blood surged and he rushed into this rare Haori furnace. Boom! When the deep golden lava hit his skin, it was immediately burned to the point where Wu Yu grinned and couldn't help but scream in pain. Sure enough, the degree was different. As soon as he entered, his skin was already burned and blackened, and the terrifying heat even penetrated into his flesh and blood. Among them, Wu Yu's entire body was being burned into coke and even vaporized. The screams of pain kept coming from beneath his feet. Kang Shuqingfeng condensed a golden circle to separate herself from Beiyu furnace, but this could not last long. Now she was sweating profusely, her upper body was dripping with fragrant sweat, she was very tempting, and the lion in her lower body is shining with fire, forming an extremely strong contrast. In fact, she is considered a hermaphrodite, and her gender cannot be distinguished at all. Although Kang Shuqingfeng was very uncomfortable, she couldn't help but smile when she heard Wu Yu's voice and said, "Haisha, this Wu Yu is a fool, he wants to lure us to the battlefield where he is better, but the result is, if you accidentally cross the line, you may die." What? Haisha is still in the middle of Beiyu furnace. To be honest, he is already soaked all over and his face is pale. He is resisting the golden magma around him. The golden magma impacts and makes the black ball around him protect Taoism. Precarious. Wu Yu got down to a position that I couldn't get down to, He was screaming. He probably won't be able to hold on for much longer, Kang Shuqingfeng said with a smile. This is troublesome. If his body is burned, won't we lose his inheritance? Haisha didn't dare to go any further. He was afraid that he would end up like Wu Yu. That's true. Now let's see if this kid dares to come up. Let's make a way for him to come up. After Kang Shuqingfeng said this, she returned to Haisha's position, and the two of them looked down together. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. If Wu Yu still has some strength at this time, he should come up. Why is there no movement, and he was burned to death like this? Haisha said, a little depressed. Kang Shuqingfeng was about to nod when she suddenly heard a weak voice coming from below. It's not that easy if you want me to die. If you two have the guts, come down here and I'll beat you both. Kang Shuqingfeng and Haisha looked at each other and were glad to see that the other party was not dead, otherwise they would have gained nothing. For the time being, they had plenty of time to spend with Wu Yu. Therefore, Haisha said, "Don't be brave, I will see how long you can last down there." With that said, he and Kang Shuqingfeng went up a little further, leaving Wu Yu enough room to escape. Now that they are here, rather than letting Wu Yu be burned to death, they certainly want to kill him with their own hands and gain some benefits. Wu Yu smiled and said, "Okay, let's see who can't hold on first." Dragging the two of them here was Wu Yu's purpose. In the scorching underground Haori furnace below, the clone cannot be released at all. Once it comes out, it will be burned into golden hair. After successfully holding them back, Wu Yu was chatting, bickering, and observing with them. Soon he was able to figure out the size of the underground Haori furnace in the extreme scorching heat. He was still in a peripheral position. Therefore, after experiencing the calcination, I could barely withstand it. It's possible that there is only this one in the entire divine continent. It's really your luck to find this place. The third level of the Vajra indestructible body is divided into two levels. It is not complete until the golden body of Namo Hao Sun King Buddha. With this magnificent and scorching Hao Sun furnace at his feet, Wu Yu has the Vajra indestructibility, the opportunity and conditions for the third level of perfection in the body. However, the difficulty at this time was not much different from the first time he fell into the underground Beiyu furnace. Now the dark golden magma was like sharp thorns, piercing into his body, causing a terrifying calcining. This internal transfer position relieves the pressure of calcining through body movements. In fact, what he wants is calcining. After persevering, he began to use the third level of the indestructible body technique to swallow the deep golden magma, not just through his mouth, but also through his eyes, ears, mouth, nose, etc., and even all over his body. The pores are sucking in magma to calcine one's body. After swallowing for the first time, Wu Yu screamed in pain. At that moment, he felt that the inside of his body was directly burned to ashes. When a mortal swallows fire, this is how he feels now. Anyway, his whole body seems to be empty, and everywhere up and down, even every inch, was filled with burning pain like a knife. This kind of fear could burn people to the point of fainting. Boom! There was a roar in his mind. Above, Kang Shuqingfeng and Haisha heard this voice. They looked at each other and smiled. Haisha shook his head and said, "Wu Yu, why are you so insistent? Come out. At least we can give you a happy one." "You said, this is your territory. We can't go down there, so why do you have to suffer there?" Kang Shuqingfeng said. "Come down if you feel like it. If you don't feel like it, stop whining," Wu Yu responded loudly while screaming in pain. After yelling out, he seemed to finally feel better. This temper is really stubborn. I heard that too. In that case, let me see how long it will take for you to be burned to a crisp. Wu Yu stopped paying attention to them. He was now focusing all his energy on calcining the gold of Nanwu Haori King Buddha. The day of success will be the time for these two to return to the West. This mission was able to kill 3 people at the 4th level of the Kanghai realm of Zifu. For Wu Yu, this harvest was definitely enough. Even if you don't need those 150,000 merits, that's okay. Persist in. To forge an indestructible body, sometimes there is nothing else but persistence. Moreover, it is not a temporary persistence, but a long-term, all-time persistence to the highest degree, which is unbearable. From the beginning, this indestructible body was not easy. However, its effectiveness is extremely huge. If it weren't for this indestructible body, Wu Yu would have died countless times. While swallowing the deep golden magma and forging the body, every minute and every breath was filled with excruciating pain. In the midst of the burning, Wu Yu looked at the sky above the deep sea. If you want to become an immortal, you must practice hard. /U003 /U003E /U003C /Sente /U003E. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 400. Of course, during this process, Wu Yuqi did not want the 2 ghost cultivators to discover his true purpose. At least he can hold off for as long as he can. Therefore, when he was forging the golden body of King Namo Haori, he still exerted a certain amount of willpower to verbally compete with the 2 men. One wanted to bring the other 2 in, and the other wanted to lure Wu Yu up. The 2 sides are neither up nor down, so they spend their time here. It lasted 2 full days. From the initial hardship and pain, Wu Yu has now become numb and adapted. He continues to persevere with a strong will, gritting his teeth. As his physical body improved, it finally became easier, but after all, he had to increase his speed. After adapting, he still needed to speed up the rhythm a lot. Therefore, from the beginning to the end, this burning pain never stopped, and it became more and more severe every time. When the 2 people heard the sound, they both wondered if there was something wrong with Wu Yu's mind. Now, Wu Yu's skin all over his body has turned dark golden. As if it were made of gold, you can clearly see that a lot of dark golden lava has been sucked in by the pores all over his body, causing his body to become more and more elevated during the calcining process. Get acquainted, even any tiny particle is melted into many deep golden lava, and any particle released from it can burn a forest. He has already swallowed 1/3 of this underground Haori furnace. However, Wu Yu is still very smart. He does not swallow the most superficial part, so the 2 above look the same as the bottom. The ghost cultivators were very cautious, and Wu Yu understood them. In this situation, it was impossible for them to come down. Wu Yu, are you interested in holding on for dear life? Haisha was even a little depressed. Later, Wu Yu was fully focused. He felt that there was almost everything he needed to say. If he said too much, there would be loopholes, so he did not answer Haisha. No matter how insulted and threatened they were, he was still concentrating on calcining his body. Seeing that there were fewer and fewer Haori furnaces in the underground, and his body's strength increased to a frightening level, he became more excited and urgent. Under the incomparable excitement, even the severe pain of calcining was not so unbearable. Immortal body. Heaven and earth, omnipotent, immortal. How far am I from that immortality? Thinking back to the first time he saw the Ruyi golden cudgel, Wu Yu had a lot of imagination in his mind. Tongtian Sword Sect, Shu Mountain, Endless Demonic Sea, Yanhuang, East China Sea. Those people, those things. It's vivid in my mind. Among them, the most impressive one was naturally the battlefield of life and death in Shushan. On that day, everyone criticized him. But even so, we are still chasing the high road. The road is endless, my heart is eternal. If you have a clear heart and a firm mind, the physical pain will seem to be nothing after being numb. Wu Yu stood aloof from the incident, numbly seeing himself swallowing the magma, swallowing and refining this huge furnace, as if swallowing it, digesting it all. 4 more days have passed, and as his time speeds up, the Haori furnace has actually been swallowed up almost completely, and now it is about to be completed. However, Heisha and Kang Shuqingfeng had already lost their patience after waiting for the past few days. They were not stupid either. Suddenly Heisha said, "Wu Yu, could you use this furnace to forge your body? The two of us, stay here and delay for that Huangfu Pajun." He guessed correctly. But not entirely right. After all, Wu Yu did not use the furnace to forge his body, but instead devoured the furnace. In fact, the Haori furnace below is almost empty now. If they come down, they can notice it. In that case, Wu Yu's calcining process will definitely disturb him, making it impossible for him to directly complete the third level and make the golden body of Nanwu Haori King Buddha truly complete. Fortunately, Heisha didn't expect that he would let the furnace be empty. Of course, ordinary people would not think of this in an exaggerated way. At this time, it was not appropriate to talk too much to him. Before, he was worried that they would leave first, but now Wu Yu was worried that they would suddenly come down. In that case, he would directly engage in a life and death battle before he could reach consummation. That would not be a good idea for Wu Yu. Very good deal. Kang Shuqingfeng was also stunned. She sneered and said, "Okay, let him hide here. Let's go and seize the Yanhuang warship first, and then deal with him." Heisha said, "This kid will definitely wait for us to leave and run away immediately. Then we can't stay here forever and watch him forge his body here, right? If he forges here for a few years, how many more years will we have to keep him here?" Based on their knowledge, it is estimated that it will take this long. The two discussed it and decided that there was really nothing they could do about Wu Yu for the time being. After all, they did not dare to go down to the Haori furnace. In this case, it was a more correct choice to take down the Yanhuang warship first. After all, for them, the Yanhuang warship also had with great use and a little modification, having a mobile fortress in the East China Sea is a huge benefit. If they want to know the truth, it will only take a day at most for them to know Wu Yu, and they will probably become depressed and go crazy. "I didn't expect you to be so capable. Even if I let you escape this time, you won't be so lucky next time. I will settle Bai Sha's revenge with you no matter what," Heisha said lightly, and Kang Shui and Qingfeng looked at each other. The two of them stayed here for 4 days and had no choice but to leave. In fact, they couldn't hold on for long. Of course, they might not leave, and they might stay down there to intercept Wu Yu. However, at the last moment, Wu Yu was too lazy to care about them. He was concentrating entirely on devouring the Haori furnace. Now his body was like a huge golden vortex. The vortex was getting bigger and bigger, and it continued to roar. After those two people left, they became even more unscrupulous, devouring and calcining crazily, calcining every particle in their bodies to the extreme. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu clearly felt the increase in his physical strength, speed, defense, recovery, etc. Added together, these are the growth and transformation of Katkin's life. Every advancement of the indestructible body is like a rebirth. Boom boom boom. On its body, hundreds of millions of steel-forged sounds are made every moment, which are dull, heavy, but full of explosive power. That golden vortex, after half a day, horribly plundered the entire Haori furnace. He successfully integrated the entire Haori furnace into his body. However, this is not enough. The golden vortex rolled up and went up again. In a short period of time, it swept across 8 Bayu furnaces. Another half day passed. Not only did it swallow up all the Bayu furnaces, it even swallowed up the entire ghost-devouring volcano. Devour it cleanly. This sea area with a radius of thousands of miles allowed Wu Yu to successfully change. When the burning sea dimmed, the vortex erupting with golden flames finally stopped rotating and swallowing. The golden vortex gradually shrank, and finally a figure appeared in the center, and that was Wu Yu. Suddenly, the whirlpool shrank completely, leaving only Wu Yu standing in the vast sea. However, his body was still burned by golden flames. His skin was like gold, so hard and rough. Within a radius of 3 miles, the sea water cannot be approached. Anyone who comes close will directly turn into mist. The entire Ghost Eater volcano was swallowed up, as you can imagine. The moment he opened his eyes, the endless sea water within hundreds of miles in front of him evaporated instantly and disappeared. Yanhuang warships suppressed at Lanling gold mine. After Huangfu Pajun returned, he spent half a day reoccupying the Lanling gold mine and driving out the ghost cultivators who broke into the cave to mine Lanling gold. Before he could figure it out, Huangfu Pajun received Wu Yu's original talisman. When he received this tail talisman, his expression changed drastically and he did not tell anyone else for the time being. After reoccupying this place, he summoned the centurions and Gong Shuming to explain the situation, and then said, "I do believe that Wu Yu can contain them for the time being. They will not arrive here so quickly, and I also fully believe that Wu Yu can contain them for the time being. Yu has the ability to protect himself. My opinion is to stay in the Yanhuang warship and stay here while the Kanghai Daozong people continue to mine. If those two come, we will resist for a while and see if it doesn't work. How about sailing away the Yanhuang warship and giving up the mission?" After experiencing Chen Kangsong's incident, none of the centurions wanted to give up, and Gong Shuming even more didn't want to give up easily. After all, there were still a lot of Lanling gold mines underneath. Then stay here first, but the ordinary Yanhuang immortal army should not go out. There are relatively few free ghost cultivators now, and the danger is relatively high. The ordinary Yanhuang immortal army has withdrawn from the mission for the time being. A few of us are going out to guard. Their defense line was very tight, and they mainly defended Kang Shueqingfeng and Haisha. Huangfu Pajun and others were very serious. A few days later, in their nervous mood, Haisha and Kang Shueqingfeng appeared. Huangfu Pajun hurriedly rushed the Kanghai Daozong people back to the Yanhuang warship, but he was blocking the front. Facing the two terrifying ghost cultivators, he was not afraid, but he didn't see Wu Yu, and he didn't get a response from Wu Yu. He was more worried about Wu Yu. "You want to know how Wu Yu is doing now, right?" After Haisha arrived, he smiled strangely. Huangfu Pajun looked at him coldly. Haisha waved his hand and said, "This young man is indeed powerful, but he still lacks some experience. Kang Shueqingfeng and I divided it up and ate it. Unexpectedly, this young man still has a lot of good things." "You mean, he's dead?" Huangfu Pajun's heart skipped a beat. "Nonsense, if he had not died, why would we be here today? The purpose of our coming this time is also very simple. We only need you to send a Yanhuang warship, and we can let you go. Remember, what we want, it's just a Yanhuang warship." Kang Shueqingfeng said lightly. Huangfu Pajun knew that he and a group of centurions were no match for the opponent. If they fought to the death, they would definitely suffer heavy casualties. He directly retreated to the Yanhuang warship. With this fortress, he felt confident. However, within the Yanhuang warship, many Yanhuang immortal troops panicked, especially Kishan camp. They couldn't accept the news that Wu Yu had died in battle. I spent a long time conceiving during the day today to pave the way for the follow-up. I just started coding in the evening, so I'll start with chapter 2 today. More updates tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 401. Huangfu Pajun had conveyed many original signs to Wu Yu in the past few days, but had not received any reply from him. Now, he was controlling the Yanhuang warship, confronting Haisha and Kang Xiuqingfeng. The Yanhuang immortal army behind him was in chaos, but he was thinking, it has been a few days since Wu Yu and I separated. Wu Yu found out Kang Xiuqingfeng told me immediately, and then there was no news. If he was killed a few days ago. In that case, Haisha and Kang Xiuqingfeng would have been here long ago. Wu Yu said before that he would hold these two men for a few days. I imagined that if he went to a place where Ben Weifu could not go and hid until now, but these two people could not catch him, they would come over first to fight for the Yanhuang warship. Such an idea is very possible. But the problem is, it seems reasonable, but it is only possible. After Huangfu Pajun thought about it clearly, he couldn't help but laugh at himself. Maybe I am deceiving myself. Tongwu leads young talents, but these two are vicious and have monstrous cultivation. It is indeed too difficult to fight them. What a pity. If Commander Wu doesn't die, he will definitely be the pillar of our Yanhuang Emperor city in the future. This damn ghost cultivator. Several centurions around me were also very sorry. Commander Huangfu, we cannot abandon the Yanhuang warship. Since Commander Wu has died in the battle and the difficulty of the mission has exceeded the standard, we can return to Yanhuang Emperor City. Everyone was a little disheartened about this mission. After all, the appearance of Black and White Zhuangsha and Kang Xiuqingfeng was expected by them. Don't leave yet, Huangfu Pajun said. Why? Everyone was puzzled. If it hadn't been for Wu Yu last time, they wouldn't even have been able to compete with the Black and White demons. Huangfu Pajun said, Wu Yu may not be dead. Maybe he is rushing back or has been delayed by other things. At least we have to wait for him. Besides, this mission has reached this point, and I am still not willing to give up like this. Commander Huangfu. Everyone looked nervous, some had objections, and some understood him. Don't worry. Just these two people can't break the Yanhuang warship guarded by all of us. Huangfu Pajun immediately ordered that every Yanhuang immortal army stand in the spirit gathering formation, with him as the leader, activate the Yanhuang warship's defense to a perfect state. This is also a signal to declare war on Haisha and the others. Very good, in that case, when we seize the Yanhuang warship, no one here can even think of leaving. If I refine all these thousands of Yanhuang immortal armies into corpse puppets and form a legion, it will be very spectacular. Ah, Haisha's voice was miserable, like a lingering ghost. This threat does have a certain effect on the general Yanhuang immortal army. Then, Haisha and Kang Xiuqingfeng used all their strength. The two of them, one on the east side and the other on the west side, attacked frantically. The black evil sword cultivator had a black sword in his hand, which was a weapon of killing. He tore out jet black cracks. The black cracks were extremely thick. They roared and hit the Yanhuang warship, causing the Yanhuang warship to shake. It caused the Yanhuang immortal army inside to be turbulent and fearful. Huangfu Pajun encouraged them while protecting the Yanhuang warship. Everyone has seen it clearly, don't underestimate the defensive power of the Yanhuang warship. As powerful as the Black Evil, 10 more of them can't even think of destroying the Yanhuang warship. After holding on for a few times, they have great confidence. Indeed, even though the opponent tried their best for the time being, it seemed that they could not break through the Yanhuang warship's defense. Wait for him for 10 days. If he doesn't come back after 10 days, we will sail away directly on the Yanhuang warship. Finally, Huangfu Pajun made a decision, and the fearful Yanhuang immortal army finally felt a little more at ease. In fact, what Huangfu Pajun wanted to see most was that after Wu Yu returned, he would fight alongside him and kill these two men on the spot. In this way, not only will the harvest be huge, but the task will also be completed successfully. In all these years, he has never failed a mission. Haisha and Kang Xiuqingfeng did not expect that the Yanhuang warship would be so difficult to defeat. The two of them fought with great fury, fighting with various magical powers and heaven and earth magic, but they were unable to shake the Yanhuang warship. It seems this is not an easy job. Haisha frowned. Don't be discouraged. It's just the people inside who are supporting you, and the people inside will always have their limits. There are many ghost cultivators around. Let's summon these ghost cultivators and attack them together. I don't believe it. We can't break him yet. Because the Yanhuang warship has a large number of spirit gathering formations, it has such defensive power. When Heisha heard this, he shouted loudly, and the nearby ghost cultivators who had just been driven away immediately gathered here under Heisha's call. With the call of Heisha, there are as many ghost cultivators nearby who are still unwilling to give up as they want. Seeing that more and more ghost cultivators gathered inside the Yanhuang warship, the Yanhuang immortal army became even more panicked. Although Huangfu Pajun repeatedly emphasized it, when the Yanhuang warship was in turmoil, the fear was deep and bone deep. At this moment, Huangfu Pajun suddenly received a Benwei talisman. After reading the content on the tail talisman, Huangfu Pajun was startled at first, and then couldn't help laughing. He said loudly, "Everyone, Wu Yu is not dead. He is coming back, and he asked us to contain him. Stay with these two, don't let these two ghost cultivators escape." After hearing the news, many Yanhuang immortal army were also startled. Although they were happy, they were also confused. Judging from the news from Wu Yu, he seemed to be full of confidence. Contain it? Everyone looked at each other. A centurion said, "It's good to be alive. Let's hold on here and wait for him to come back." This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Well, we'll leave as soon as he arrives. Everyone finally found hope. Next, it's a game between the two sides. Hold on. More and more ghost cultivators gathered, and in a blink of an eye there were thousands. Thousands of people were strong or weak. Under the orders of Heisha and Kang Shueqing Feng, they rushed like chickens with blood, and used complex and brilliant heaven and earth magic, tearing open the sea water and impacting on the Yanhuang warship. On the Yanhuang warship, golden light shone, and countless magic formations emerged, spinning at high speed, spinning away most of the attacks from the ghost cultivators. Time continued, and in the blink of an eye, most of the day had passed. Under the unremitting and crazy attacks of the ghost cultivators, the Yanhuang warship was constantly shaking violently and roaring internally. Even in the spirit gathering formation, there was a backlash, and some Yanhuang immortal troops were injured. Regardless of whether Wu Yu returned or not, the atmosphere of terror still spread within the warship. Why hasn't Wu Yu arrived yet? If not, we may not be able to hold on any longer. If the Yanhuang warship is opened, wouldn't we be doomed? Shut up, some were pessimistic and some were optimistic, especially those from Kishan camp. At this time, they were all eager for Wu Yu to come back. They were also angry when they heard that someone was so timid. In fact, it goes without saying that the people from Kang Song camp and Qingliu camp, after those two died in the battle, they completely collapsed and felt even less safe. Just when there was chaos inside and outside, suddenly, many screams were heard. This scream came from the east, from the ghost cultivators who were excitedly attacking the Yanhuang warship. No matter it was the ghost cultivator or the Yanhuang immortal army, they were all surprised and looked over there. I saw that a golden undersea sun suddenly appeared in the east. The undersea sun was burning fiercely, spitting out tongues of fire. Wherever it went, the sea water evaporated, and the ghost cultivators screamed and flew away. There seemed to be a figure inside the sun, and the figure seemed to be holding a stick. Wherever the stick touched, groups of ghost cultivators vomited blood and flew back. Someone is coming to kill. The attacks of the ghost cultivators were directly interrupted. Who is that? It seems to be a Yanhuang immortal army. It's Wu Yu, the Wu Yu who killed Bai Shat. Finally, the ghost cultivators saw Wu Yu's vague appearance in the scorching Sunday. Of course, they couldn't see clearly. It was more from his Yanhuang Optimus Prime. Wu Yu killed the white evil, and all nearby ghost cultivators knew about it. Therefore, when he appeared, the ghost cultivators became frightened, and suddenly dispersed, hiding behind the black evil and Kang Shueqing Feng. The ghost cultivators surrounding the Yanhuang warship like flies suddenly dispersed and hid in the distance, watching in horror and excitement. They obviously knew that when Wu Yu came back this time, he would obviously join forces with the Yanhuang Immortal Army, once again resist the Haisha attack. This battle will obviously be even more exciting than the last time. Thousands of people watched, and there were more than 1,000 people inside the Yanhuang warship. Seeing Wu Yu's return, most of the Yanhuang Immortal Army cheered. "Wu Yu, come in quickly," several centurions shouted quickly. They were worried that Wu Yu and Huangfu Pajun would confront the two ghost cultivators head-on. Hurry, in any case, most of the Yanhuang Immortal Army also wanted him to come in first, which would be safer. At this time, in front of Wu Yu and the Yanhuang warship, Haisha and Kang Xiuqing Feng were separated. In the scorching sun, Wu Yu's eyes were like fire, and the Yanhuang Optimus Prime in his hand was also burning with scorching flames, spurting out in all directions. A large amount of water mist transpired towards the surroundings, and a large amount of sea area in the surrounding area directly turned into wastewater. "I didn't expect that you, such a shy turtle, would be willing to show up so quickly," Haisha sneered and came towards Wu Yu with his black sword in hand. Kang Xiuqing Feng looked back at the Yanhuang warship, and said with a sly smile, "Huangfu Pajun, if you want to save him, just come out and fight, hide and be a tortoise. I think this is not what the Yanhuang Immortal Army should do. Let's do it." How come the dignified Yanhuang Immortal Army has no courage at all? Their intention was obvious, to attack Wu Yu and force Huangfu Pajun to come out. If Wu Yu and Huangfu Pajun were killed, the Yanhuang warship would be within easy reach. After all, the Yanhuang warship is controlled by Huangfu Pajun. If he dies in battle, the Yanhuang warship will immediately become ownerless. Haisha struck out quickly and was about to force Wu Yu away. He definitely didn't want Wu Yu to return to the Yanhuang warship. The surrounding ghost cultivators suddenly became noisy, excited, and roared fiercely. In the Yanhuang warship, the Yanhuang Immortal Army raised their hearts to their throats. "Commander Huangfu, I think." Before he could finish his words, Huangfu Pajun disappeared into the Yanhuang warship.